What's up guys, Bad Habit here, welcome back to the channel. Black Friday is here finally because this is the best time of the year. Actually, this is the only time of the year to get some top tier plugins at ridiculous prices. And maybe you've already watched like 20 videos about Black Friday deals, but let me tell you, this video is not gonna be like any other video where people just bombard you with 300 random deals from brands that you'll never even use anyway. I'm only gonna show you the plugins that I personally use every single day in every single one of my sessions and that now also happen to be on sale. Because guys, I can tell you, after spending over $15,000 on plugins, these are the ones that ended up being really worth it. We're gonna start from my top plugins for vocals, followed by some virtual instruments that you guys really can't not have going into 2026. And then I'm gonna show you my favorite plugins for processing instruments like bass, drums, some general processing, and we're gonna finish with some must-have plugins for mixing and mastering. And among these, there's even a plugin for only $9, so stick around for that. So I want to start from vocals because in the last year or two, I really cleaned up my workflow when it comes to vocals. I realized I was using too many plugins that really were not helping, and so I went back to the basics. And one of the most powerful combinations that you can get is the Waves tune coupled with the CLA vocals. Going into 2026, these are the only two plugins you're gonna need for vocals. I was lucky enough to be in studios where I could see the sessions for Dua Lipa, sessions for Dr. Luke, and the CLA vocals was there together with other very simple plugins that I'm gonna talk about in a second. Sometimes the simpler the better, and I want to prove it to you by playing you my vocals because I'm not a pro singer by any means, but I want you to hear what these two plugins can do even on vocals like mine.
You're the only one who takes me there. Every time we touch, I fly higher.
Not bad, right? This sounds pro. So imagine what this can do when a professional singer sings into this. And to get this, I did absolutely nothing special. I just set the Waves tune this way and the CLA vocals with my favorite preset. It's actually everyone's favorite preset because everyone is using this face-to-face, and I'm not scared of showing you the before and after. So even if I deactivate this tuning, if I deactivate the CLA vocals,
I fly higher.
okay, the tuning was not really there, but again, just a little bit of Waves tune and
I fly higher.
much more controlled, and then all the magic happens here. CLA vocals,
I fly higher.
this is incredible. And the Waves tune is currently $49. No, wait a second, because as I was editing this video, I double checked the prices and Waves dropped them even lower. So now the Waves tune is actually $29 and the CLA vocals also $29. And they even improved this special offer where the more you buy, the more you save. So like 2 plugins, $49, 5 plugins, $99. And so I actually want to show you a third option because maybe you already have the CLA vocals, you already have the Waves tune, and there is a plugin that I went back to after so many years. For some reason I stopped using it because again I got in that rabbit hole of really stacking so many plugins on my vocal chain, and the plugin that I'm talking about is the Vox. It's one of the simplest plugins that you will find on the market, but one of the most effective plugins at bringing your vocals to attention, okay? You know when they say in your face, this is the plugin for in your face vocals. So if I mute the CLA vocals for a second and we only keep this Vox,
You're the only one who takes me there with every time we touch.
of course we're missing
I fly
all of that
higher.
air, the high end that the CLA vocals was giving us, because the good thing about the CLA vocals is that it also has this EQ. And when I combine the two,
You're the only one who takes me there with every time we
unbelievable.
touch. I fly higher.
These vocals
Only
sound
one who
like I actually know what I'm doing. Oh my God. I love this. It's a 20-year-old plugin and still I can't find another plugin that can beat this. So now with these new lowered prices, if you get all 3, it's $79 instead of over $100. So substantial savings here. And guys, while we're here on Waves' website, I want to remind you that like every year for Black Friday, Waves is going to release a brand new plugin on the 28th, and you can get it for free just by entering your email on this page, which is linked down in the description before the 28th, guys. From the 28th, the plugin is going to drop and then it's going to become a paid plugin. So the only way to receive this for free is entering your email here. I already did this because I don't want to forget, and I wanted you guys to know because who doesn't like free stuff? So you'll find the link below the video. And to finish with vocals, if you're really balling, I just want to give you another alternative for the tuning, which is the Auto-Tune Pro. This is the industry standard. Everybody at the top level is using this tuning plugin. To be honest with you, I don't notice as much difference with the Waves tune. One thing that I notice is that the Waves tune sometimes tends to be a little bit less transparent, but it also has a lot to do with the way you sing. The Auto-Tune might react better to your vocals, the Waves tune might react better to my vocals, but just so you know guys, if you ever end up being in the studio with a big producer, a big artist, you want to have this. It's 50% off, but it's still $250. It took me a long time to buy this, so don't get discouraged if you cannot afford this right now. Just go for the Waves tune, okay? No problem with that. But I have a final plugin, really cheap, that I added to my vocal chain, the API Vision Channel Strip. I love the sound of these EQs, and I love to use this especially for bringing air to my vocals.
You're the only one who takes me there.
And with it,
You're the only one who takes me there.
this is unbelievable. Listen to the definition of those highs. Oh my god, I love this so much. And this plugin, guys, is only $29. This is a steal. Okay, so now let's move on to the actual instruments, because I made this track only using the plugins that I'm about to show you. So let me play it first.
You're the only one who takes me there every time we touch.
Pretty cool. Let me mute the vocals. I've been noticing something. If you just look at the charts, Billboard, Spotify, if you just turn on the radio, what you're going to notice is that more and more songs are becoming live played with that real live feeling again. Pop music with like Sabrina Carpenter, Olivia Dean, Bruno Mars, Teddy Swims, Taylor Swift, and many other projects now have real guitars, real bass, real drums. And of course, we can do all this just by using plugins. And you guys know I also produce a lot of electronic music, and I'm starting to see a little bit of that shift also in electronic music. So going into 2026, I want you guys to focus on the right plugins and the right sounds so that your production don't sound old. These are real sounding drums, and my favorite plugin by far for real drums is Addictive Drums. Listen how real this sounds. So not only the sound quality from Addictive Drums is, I think, unmatched, but also what's very cool to me is that you have all of these drum patterns which have been recorded by real drummers, and so they really have that real feeling. Like different tempos, different styles, with all of these cool dynamics, you know, the ghost notes, and you can just take this and drag it into your MIDI, which is exactly what I've done here. Then you can tweak it. You can also tweak each individual sound. For example, this snare was not part of this original kit. So I went here and you have like a huge list of different snares, including drum machines. This is also like another great thing about Addictive Drums that I'm not sure other plugins have. If I wanted to just put a snare from the Lindrum, I could do this. You have all of these different drum kits, and for each one, you have multiple combinations. So like this one can also sound like this. I'm in love with 70s drums, and so my two favorite packs are Vintage Dry and Vintage Dead. Listen to this, oh my god, $89. This is a great price, guys. And this custom collection allows you to choose from 3 drum kits, 3 MIDI beat packs, and 3 extra kit pieces. But if you already have Addictive Drums, I also use this a lot. This is Studio Drummer from Native Instruments, and it works inside Contact, and it sounds really, really good. Listen. Like the sound quality is very good. And also here you have the controls, the mixer with all of the effects like EQ, transients, compressor, tape. And this one, like Addictive Drums, has a lot of MIDI patterns that you can start from. Studio Drummer is currently $139, but stick around because later I'm gonna give you an option to get this at a much lower price in a bundle. We're gonna go back to drums later when we talk about how I process these drums to make them sound like this. But now let's move on to the rest of the instruments instruments in this track. So you've probably noticed that I have some keys here, and they're all coming from my most used VSTs. And the first one is definitely Analog Lab. We're talking about Arturia. They have replicated all of these instruments in such an incredible and faithful way. I really couldn't live without Analog Lab. I'm saying Analog Lab because Analog Lab gives you access to all of the sounds coming from all of these synths, even if you don't own them all. And that's the key part, because if I go here in the preset list, just look at the amount of sounds at your disposal. Guys, like I'm scrolling fast and look at this. Let me just pick a few random presets and show you how good this sounds. Wow. Yeah. A nice pad. Oh, wow. And in this case, I'm using a sound from the Mellotron. And the only limitation that you're gonna have if you don't own the individual plugin is that you're not gonna be able to see this and to open the Mellotron to really dive into it and tweak the preset. And so you can only have a handful of controls, these ones right here. So you're gonna still be able to shape the sound, but only the basics of it. So like the brightness, time, which is gonna make the sound shorter or longer, these effects. But you're not going to be able to really go deep in the preset and change everything about it. But still, you know, like for the price they're selling this at, this is $99. So it's confirmed, it's a steal. And my next most used plugin is for sure Diva. Again, we're still in that world. The sound quality is up there with Arturia, but the difference is that this plugin can do it all. So by simply getting one plugin, you can get all of those sounds. You have a ton of presets, leads, you have bass sounds, and they all sound absolutely incredible. For example, here I used it for this, which is like some sort of worldly. This, super vibey. I also used it for this bass sound. This bass sounds incredibly good. Usually $179, now $86. So guys, really a must have. And I also just noticed that when you buy a plugin here on Plugin Boutique, it's gonna give you a free gift with your purchase. You can choose between these two plugins. So let me take a look. This looks interesting because it's like probably a combination of, oh my god, how many effects is this? Amps, channel strips, delay, distortion, dynamics, EQ, filter. Jesus, how many? So yeah, if you get a plugin, don't forget to claim that free gift. Here I used a real bass, you know, that sounds like this. And this is coming from Modo Bass, one of my favorites when it comes to bass, especially because it gives me so many options. And this is one of the first things that I look at before getting the plugin. Do I get like a single sound, or do I get like many options, and do I have many ways of tweaking the sound? In this case, yes. So once I see this, I buy it. You have all of these basses, including the jazz bass, the precision, the Rickenbacker, like all of those famous basses. And then you can tweak the play style, finger, pick, slap. You can increase the muting. If I switch to like pick, you can really hear the sound of the pick, and then you have all of these controls. You know, you can decide how many strings do you want, how old are these strings. You get a single plugin, but you get 17 different bass sounds. And at the moment, Modo Bass is only $49, and this is actually Modo Bass 2. I still have Modo Bass 1, so it's also possible that this has more. Actually, no, I can see from the image right here, this has more basses than mine. It looks like this also has the upright bass. Oh, that's cool. I definitely need to upgrade to this. Or if you want to, you also have this option, which I'm considering as well, to be honest, which is Modo Max for only $99 compared to $49, but you get both Modo Bass and Modo Drum. To be honest with you guys, I've never tried Modo Drum, but I've heard good things about it. We were talking about alternatives for addictive drums earlier, right? So if you already have addictive drums and maybe you need Modo Bass, you know, you could also consider going for the bundle, because the price is actually not bad at all for two plugins like that. I think I'm gonna get this. Let me add it to the cart. I want to give you a final alternative, which is gonna be a little bit more expensive, but in the long run, it could end up being even more worth it. And I'm talking about Complete by Native Instruments. So when you get Complete, which is basically the full bundle from Native Instruments, you get all of these plugins that you see here in this list, which is pretty insane. Of course, there are like different tiers at different prices. So this that you're seeing is the full bundle. So many VSTs, so many effects, but I think the biggest thing here is Contact. Contact is basically a sampler where you can load an infinite amount of libraries. Some libraries are from Native Instruments and you get those included in Complete, and some other libraries are from third parties. Some of my favorite strings, a lot of bass sounds. One of the things that I use Contact the most for are pianos. I love how these pianos are sounding. This sounds so real. There are so many cool libraries for Contact, especially that are already included in Complete. This is only $99 at the moment, and it doesn't look like it's on sale. By the time you watch this video, this might be even cheaper. For example, this Select Band bundle includes, of course, not all the things that I showed you, but it includes, for example, Studio Drummer, which I've talked about before. So if you get this bundle, you're going to get Studio Drummer included. And if you get it alone, it was $139. It doesn't really make any sense. You have a piano, you have like an electric piano, you have the Rickenbacker bass. This is one of the bass sounds that Charlie Puth has used in many of his hits. Oh, and you actually also get Guitar Rig, which is a plugin that I actually wanted to talk about because these guitars that you hear are all coming from Guitar Rig, you know? And as you can see, there are countless presets. So this is by far my favorite plugin for processing my guitars. All right, so let's move on to the drum processing because this is my favorite part of producing and mixing. So I'm very picky about the plugins that I put on my drum bus. And here I have a few alternatives for you at different prices that do different things. So let me show you. Okay, so my drums with no plugins on the drum bus sound like this. But if we add this, oh yeah, and this is all coming from the SSL drum strip. It has a little bit of everything in it. The features that I like the most about this plugin is the low frequency and high frequency enhancers. So if I disable this, listen to those hi-hats. And the same thing happens to the low end. So much more like full. Wow. And I love to use this compressor in parallel because if you keep this at 100%, it's really, you can really hear how it's squashing the drums. Same thing with this transient shaper. Very cool. And this is the most expensive plugin in this list, $99 at the moment. But again, it doesn't seem to be on sale right now. So double check the price when you're watching the video because it might be lower. But when I don't use this plugin, the only compressor that I ever put on my drum bus is this one, the UAD API 2500. You've seen this in my YouTube videos before, I'm pretty sure. But you know, it always works. Without it, with it. So tight. I love this. If you set it this way, you're gonna get those punchy drums. This is currently $49, and to be honest with you, it makes me so mad because I remember when I got this plugin, I had to like wait probably like a year and a half for a sale because back in the day, UAD used to never lower their prices. And so I had to wait for so long. And still, I think I got it at like 99 or something like that. And compression is always followed by some saturation. And here I have 3 plugins to suggest. Let's start from the first one, which is one of my favorite plugins for processing not only drums, but actually also the bass, the black box without and with. Wow, I love this. And one of the things that I love the most about this plugin is that it preserves the transients in such a good way. If you want to go for something like a little bit more distorted, you can do that. Listen to this, wow. And this plugin, guys, is currently $26. I can't believe this. And I'm now about to show you my secret tool that I love to use on drums. I don't only use this on the drum bus, but also on individual drums, like on kicks, on snares, and stuff like that. I'm talking about this incredible plugin by Newfangled Audio. This is called Elevate. It's basically an all-in-one limiter with its EQ, a transient shaper with all of these bands, and a clipper. All of this in a single plugin, and just listen to how this sounds. And with. Wow. So the transient emphasis is probably my favorite thing about this plugin. This is incredible. Like, it's of course too much, but listen to how how it helps defining these transients. And the clipper is also amazing. And this is only $79, but if this feels like too much for you guys, I have a good news. You can also get these plugins all separate. Let's say that you're only interested in the clipper. You can only get Saturate, which is only the clipper part of that Elevate plugin that I showed you before. Maybe instead you want to get Punctuate, which is absolutely insane as a transient shaper. And these two plugins individually are Punctuate, $49. Not bad, but Saturate, $19. This is incredible. But if you get the Elevate bundle, you're gonna get them all. So up to you. And it's now time to show you the cheapest plugin of the day. Only $9 to get Tape. Without it and with it. This sounds insane. It's a very simple plugin. You have your drive amount here. You can add noise, wear, something like this. You can add glue, like more compression, you can definitely hear that. High end, low end, presence, and the mix. So yeah, guys, if you're on a budget, $9 for a plugin that works this good, I mean. And next, guys, is a new plugin that I've been using so much lately. Not on the drum bus, but on the individual drum hits, Snapback. It allows you to add a little layer before and on top of your samples. Let me play you this snare. This is coming from one of my sample packs, but then I add Snapback. Can you hear that little clap layered on top? In this case, I layered the small clap, which happens 4 milliseconds before the snare hits. So this becomes basically a pre-shifted clap. And the cool thing is that you have an incredible selection of samples that you can layer. But I also use the second Snapback to add a room. This is unbelievable. It's just like a new way of building layers. Only $29. So really cheap. And before we move on to plugins for mixing and mastering, I have two more plugins for general processing that for some reason feel like they're underrated, or at least I underestimated them for so long. Everybody knows about the Pro Q4, you know, it's like an incredible plugin, but nobody's talking about the Pro R, the Reverb by Fab Filter. So let's go back to the vocals for a second and make sure to deactivate the reverb from the CLA vocals and listen to this.
You're the only one who takes me there with every time we touch.
Listen to that tail. I love this. For some reason, I got so used to using the Valhalla Vintage Verb that I forgot about this plugin. And not only on vocals, listen to this on drums. This ambience feels so real. And maybe like me, you already have this, but you never used it. So if that's the case, amazing. If not, you can get it for $150. Still better than $200, but definitely not cheap. And kind of the same thing happened to me with saturation plugins. For some reason, I forgot that I had Saturn. For example, on this bass, this is what it does. Without it, but with it, it's really bringing out that feeling of like a live bass. In this case, I just split it in two, and the low band goes through this smooth amp. And the very cool thing is that you can also shape the tone. So I needed to add that low end. Perfect. You can do it from here. And then the other band is instead going through this warm transformer. So like a little bit more distorted. It's very cool that you have all of these options. Another great use case for this plugin is putting it on the vocals. So let's say that, for example, you only have a microphone like this one and you don't have a preamp. I have a Neve preamp there, so if I sing, my vocals are gonna go through a preamp. But if you don't have that and you kind of want to simulate that saturation coming from a preamp, you can do that. Maybe you can add some gentle saturation to the vocal, or maybe you want to add a little bit of that tube effect.
With every time we touch.
Of course, like not that much, but again, not really cheap, $112, still better than $150. But if you're looking for something new in the saturation distortion world, this is definitely a plugin to get. And to finish, I want to show you my most used plugins for mixing and mastering. So for mixing, I want to start from Smooth Operator Pro. This is one of those plugins that can really help you cleaning up stuff in your mix. So basically what I wanted was carving out some frequencies from the instrumental whenever I was singing to make sure that my vocals can pop out a little bit more. And to achieve that, I took my lead vocals as the sidechain and I set it up in a way so that it's only gonna reduce frequencies in this range between 700 something to 5K. you can see that whenever I'm singing, it's kind of like reducing a little bit. Not much. I don't want this to be crazy. I want this to be transparent, you know? But if I really push it, listen to this. And this is just one of the many use cases that you have for this plugin. You can also use it like on the master, for example, to clean up some frequencies. It's very similar to Soothe, but it's way cheaper than Soothe. 70 bucks compared to Soothe, which is probably, I don't even know, 200. This is a great plugin to get. If you're on a budget and you want something similar but even cheaper, another recommendation that I have for you is Track Spacer. It basically does the same thing that I just showed you with Smooth Operator, but that's the only thing it does. Can you hear the track disappearing? It works really well as long as you keep it at low values. I never go above 10%. For $29, that's not bad at all. And for mastering, you know it, my usual compressor that I put on every single one of my tracks, the SSL bus compressor. You set it this way: attack, maximum, release, minimum. And this is really gonna give you that glue that everybody's talking about. When people say glue everything together in the master, this is the plugin for it. And you have many options here, but to me, the best one is the one from SSL themselves. It's currently not on sale. It looks like it's not. But again, remember to double check the price when you're watching this video because this might be on sale by then. Cheaper alternative and still great, the one from UAD. Even cheaper, the one from Waves. So it's up to you guys. These work all very well. And guys, I also want to remind you that all of my products are now on sale. For example, my Afro House pack is only $10. All of my remake packs, everything is on sale, 40%, 35%. My mixing and mastering course, the lowest price ever, 61% off. My music production course, that's also on sale, 47% off. So if you're interested, you're gonna find the link to my website among all of the other links down in the description. And that's about it, guys. These are my most used plugins that now also happen to be on the huge sales. I know Black Friday can be tricky because in a way you wanna buy everything, but you also don't wanna waste your money on plugins that you're never gonna use. And so I really hope that this video is gonna help you decide which plugins you really need to buy to improve your productions, your mixes, your mastering. So if you enjoyed the video, guys, make sure to drop a like, make sure to subscribe to the channel, and make sure to leave a comment below because I want to know which plugins you went for. Thank you so much for watching, guys, and I'll see you in the next one.